Hello everyone and welcome to Low Rent Rick Scale Modelling and my build of the 172 scale Messerschmitt Me410A-3, which is the 2025 Airfix Club limited edition kit. So this is a new tool kit, so I've been looking forward to getting my hands on this one for a little while. I'm expecting good things. It's one of the larger 172 scale. It comes with two different paint schemes. So I really want to get my head around which one I'm going to do. I think I'm leaning towards the German mottling, the grey colour, because I've always liked building Messerschmitts, and that mottling is something I really want to practice. At first glance, it all looks pretty good. There's lots of canopy. The canopy is really quite big, so I'm going to practice hand painting the canopy. I'm not great at it yet, but I think the more and more I try, the better I will get. One unusual feature I do notice about that scheme is it's got some overlapped decals. So there are some options to put some decals down as a base first and then put some more over the top of it, probably to signify that it's just been repainted. If anyone's got any information on that, please let me know in the comments. I do like asking questions of the brain trust out there because there's a lot of experience. A lot of experienced modelers are amongst the 7,000 and odd subscribers on my channel, and I always get quite good answers, and I always learn a bit when I do a video. So yeah, please, if you've got any information of this double layered decals on this model, then please give me a shout in the comments. So I'm going to start by giving everything a nice base coat of light grey using Vallejo's light grey, with some airbrush flow improver in there and some water, thinned down by about 30 or 40%. So just a really nice light thin coat. The scheme's going to be quite challenging. It's got some dark grey green and some blue green in it, and obviously some mottling too, and that on top of the double decals. It's going to be quite difficult to get it anywhere close to right. I'm never too hard on myself. It's my model. I'm going to paint it to the best of my ability, but I'm not too concerned with getting it absolutely dead on, because just like everyone, I'm still learning too. Painting up the cockpit, I've decided not to use the decals. I'm going to practice getting some detail paint onto the instruments myself. I'm going to use a combination of colours and a little bit of dry brushing to get some metallic effects. Again, it's something I really want to practice and something I want to really get good at. So I will be trying my best to get some real detail down in the cockpit, even though no one else will ever see it. Does anyone else do that? I do hope so. Please let me know in the comments. So what I found is putting down a nice metallic sort of a copper with the dry brush first allows me to get some nice detail on all the instruments. So I used a mixture of black, white, brown. Um, I'm quite pleased with the way it turned out. I'll definitely be trying more and more of this in the future. After drilling 4 holes in each side of the wings with the pin vise, if you haven't got one, get one, they're amazing. The main body construction was absolutely brilliant. It's a new tool kit, as we know, and the although it looks really complicated, the thing went together extremely well. It wasn't any parts of it that didn't fit or were a trouble to fit together. So it slotted together really nicely and allowed me to get on with it to get to the paint, which is the part I'm looking forward to the most. I'm still very unsure at this point of the build how the paint effect is going to come out, but I've got an idea in my head, and that's the way I'm going to try it out. Now moving on to the bit I've been looking forward to, the paint. So I'm going to start by fixing the grey coat. So all the parts where I've been handling it, and any glue marks that I've sanded back, any scratches that have happened during the build, I'm just going to go over and make the base grey coat nice and smooth with a second layer. And then I'm going to move on to the camo, which is going to be in sort of two extra stages. So there's going to be green camo on the top, which is then going to be sprayed over with a very thin coat of blue grey to darken it right down. And then a mixture of those three colours are going to make up the mottling down the fuselage. First layer of the camouflage going on, it's Vallejo dark green. I'm going to do it freehand because I don't want the edges too sharp. And obviously it's another point to try and get a little bit better at doing these camo patterns freehand with the airbrush. What I do find is the top layer that's going to go on it is a blue grey, and it's going to wash these two colours, the light grey and the dark green, together, and hopefully get the same effect as I've got on the artwork on the box. Over the top now with the blue grey thinned down to 50%, just to bring those two colours together and hopefully get something like the box artwork effect. And I can already see it's really pulling it together. The slight yellow tinge to the green camo is really adding to the effect rather than taking away from it. Then I'm going to use the blue grey to dot down the side to add to the mottling, and then I use the light grey to make that gradient from dark on the top of the fuselage right the way down to the bottom, and bring back anywhere that I've got it too dark. Now a very light coat of the polyurethane satin, just to protect the paint job a little bit, because I've still got quite a lot of handling to do with this model. I don't want to scratch it up too much, so the layer of varnish should just protect that paint while I'm messing about with it with my clumsy hands. Once that's dried off, I'm going to mask off the front part of the nacelles and paint the two yellow patches that are shown on the box. I always found yellow a difficult colour to use. I probably should have used a little bit of white down first to allow the yellow to bind to it properly, because even with a light grey underneath, it really does come through the pigment of the yellow paint. A few final touch-ups for the cockpit, with the rear seat as well. That needs painting up, because I know once I'm looking through that canopy I'll not be able to change anything, but I'm pleased with the way that the cockpit has turned out. Then I'm going to move on to prepping the propellers, making sure they're all set and ready to be glued in. Rather than being allowed to spin, the propellers are going to be glued in and fixed. I do that with a lot of the models that I'm going to display, because I like them to be set in a certain way. Now to freehand paint the canopy, I'm using gunmetal, Vallejo metallic gunmetal, for the canopy. It's a nice thin paint and it seems to adhere to the clear plastic really well. This is purely an exercise in getting better and better as I do it each time. I was pleased with the way it came out, but there are still some, well, let's say there's plenty of room for improvement. But I do believe it's one of those skills that the more you do it, the better you will get at it. Once I've got the props fixed and they've been allowed to dry, and the canopy fixed and that's been allowed to dry, I'm going to move on to the decals. So I'm going to do the ones on the underside first because there's only 2 of them, and then, as I said at the beginning of the video, there are multi-layered decals down the fuselage to give the effect, I think, of it being painted in one way and then hastily covered over. So I've taken a shot from the other side so you can see the actual decals going on. I made the mistake of thinking that the 4 letters were one decal, but in fact they were all individuals. I don't know what made me think that. So it did catch me by surprise. But as I said, the decals are in great condition. Obviously they're brand new and they're really robust, so they do take. They are a bit forgiving if you make a few mistakes. So there we are with the finished article. Not a difficult build, but I made it a little bit more difficult myself with the optional painting, hand painting of the canopy with no mask, a bit of painting inside the cockpit, and of course the paint job, the mottling and the camo by hand. Although I've got to say I'm extremely pleased with the way it came out. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. Please do consider subscribing, and please do, if you get the time, check out our Facebook group, Scale Modelling for Everyone. We'd be happy to see you there. We've just gone past 1,500 members this week. Big news to come for the channel soon. We've just picked up a new sponsor. Please tune into the next video to find out more about that. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video.